Hello everyone, I'm David and I'm here with Kyle today and she has been a target for a long time. She thinks before birth her mother just to make her long story short, and she might share some of this as well. Her mother was involved behind the scenes in the occult, tried to get her to follow in her footsteps. She did for a while out of fear, and then she broke free and called out to Jesus, and started trying to do the right thing. And as far as following Jesus, and that's when she broke free from that, that's when her targeting started. So, could you kind of give us a summary of what transpired and what's been going on as far as your targeting?
So it went overt a little over a year ago. And uh a guy I was seeing from high school who they sent in as a honeypot had just moved out. My car had just been messed with. Um I'm disabled. I've been disabled for about 10 years. Um but because they drain your resources and money, he did that as well. um and I spent a bunch of money to help him move and um get going on his job. And then was trying to I had to buy a new phone and a new router because everything got hacked and my car was messed up. And I was trying to figure out if it was fixable or not, or if this was actually all of this like finally exploding, because it'd been building up and building up and building up. So what went down is I woke up one day and like his stuff was off the nightstand and gone. Like he didn't tell me he was um moving out, because and the plan was that he had a job where a house was part of his employment. So he was staying with me until his house was ready at his job, until he could start his job. And then we were going to date and whatever, because I didn't want to live together while dating. um because my beliefs in Jesus. um so I woke up, he's gone. I text him. I'm like, did you move out today? And he's like, are you going psycho on me, or are you going crazy on me? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm just asking if you moved out because all your stuff is gone and you never said anything. And then he just was gaslighting me and all sorts of weird stuff. So I was like, okay, whatever. And I don't know if it was that night or the next night.
Did he confirm that yes, I moved out?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yep. And before that, it was a whole bunch of like, um, oh, you're just being insecure. You don't want me to leave, blah, like, I'm just like, oh, just all the same stuff that they all do, like narcissists do, just all the gaslighting and um
And so he drained your resources basically.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, really bad. Um, so before that, it was around Christmas time. I signed up to do are we allowed to say apps or companies or whatever?
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
I was doing pet sitting. Okay. Um Even though I'm disabled, I'm like, I'm gonna try and do pet sitting to at least try and make some money to get my oil changed because my car was so messed up. And it turns out he was part of that. Um so while I'm going to the pet sitting, this is before he moved out. um I'm driving to one of these houses, and where I live, it is so like it's pitch dark. It's Western Washington. There's really, really tall cedar and pine trees and no street lights or whatever, right? And my car has never malfunctioned at all. Um and I'm turning this corner, and all of a sudden my car stops. And I get a bunch of signals on the dashboard. And so I called dude, and he's like, oh, they just do that. And then a conversation flashed in my head where when I first moved him over with me, he told me that a friend of ours had been using his truck, which is also a Ford, and she was driving it and it suddenly stopped. So when I called him, he's like, oh, Fords just do that, like more gaslighting. And then
Yeah.
I knew it was up. So that stuff was happening while I was trying to pet sit. One of the houses got broke into, one of the houses had property damage. Like these people were out of town.
And you
One,
were pet sitting and they were doing stuff to make you look like you were doing stuff to their house and stuff.
yeah, one of their dogs got injured. It was it I was so I was it was awful. And then beyond that, it about killed me because I am so sick. Um, and it was so hard on me physically. Anyways, so I get through that. And then what kicked it off is one night, um there was a whole bunch of activity around my house, like people running around and screaming, um and then they started trying to break down my front door. So how do I say, so I call 911. I'm like, hey, there's people trying to break down my door. And of course I'm freaking out, right? Because I'm like, I don't want to have to use lethal force, get here fast. I look at my people. There's a group of them standing out there in masks, with rifles, literally trying to kick in my front door. Now I live in this duplex, which is a total POS. The landlord is in on it as well, or at least compliant with it, loves the money, right? Because about 6 or 7 months before this, my neighbor on the adjoining duplex, she suddenly died of cancer. Imagine that. So then these suspect people moved in, and then that's when the really weird stuff started happening.
So,
Which
so when they were kicking in your door, do you think they were trying to run you off, make you move?
no, they were trying to get me to use my weapons and get me locked up
Oh, okay.
or get me on a psych hold. You guys
Yeah,
know
I
the
see what you're saying.
you,
What happened when the police arrived?
hang on, I'm trying to turn off my heater, then I can hear you better. Okay. Um, of course they all ran, right? And so there's nothing there when the police come. And the police are acting really weird. And I was freaking out. I won't lie, I was freaking out. And so I go out on my front stoop and I'm smoking a cigarette and talking to the cops. And the first thing they ask is, are you on meds? I'm like, what? Like, you don't want to know who was here or what happened, or you want to know if I'm on medication? I'm like, what? And so I'm like, yeah, I'm disabled. I'm on chemo. I just had cancer surgery. Yeah, I'm on medication, but what does that have to do with anything? And so they didn't even look around. They didn't want to watch the videos that I had of it. They didn't want to see anything. No proof, nothing. Um, and then they left. And then about, I don't know, some time passed, maybe 2 hours, they came back and did it again. So I called 911 again. Well, then they rerouted my phone, right? Some teenage kid picks it up. It was not the police. And then that's when I knew it was like the game was on, right? War had
Right.
finally started. It had finally gone over. Because for years and years and years, my whole life, this has just been building and building. It's been constant, constant. I just pushed through it and ignored it and kept going and didn't play into it, but I'd finally gotten to the point where I was so done with it. I was done with being under the narcissistic control and abuse of my mother and being in the occult and just everything. I prayed for 8 years, like, Jesus, save me from this stuff. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And actually, going to get my ex was God's answer to the problem. He's actually the one that brought it all to a head. Um, but I was praying and praying if I should go get him and do this because I'm like, I don't. Are you stopping me?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I saw your
No.
hand up.
Oh,
Like,
oh, I'm sorry.
I thought you were like, stop talking.
Uh-uh.
I'm sorry.
I'm
Um,
sorry.
I was like, oh, whoops. Um, anyways, I was praying. I'm like, God, do I go get him? Because like I don't want to go through another, like, I've learned my lesson with these people. I know who they send in, I know what they do. It's going to be the same thing all over again, right? I'm not going to do it unless you tell me to do it. And he's like, go get him.
Your
But
ex, right?
yeah,
Okay.
and he was a friend of mine from high school. Um, and he's like, go get him, this is your way out. But if you do, be prepared for war. And I was like, well, if you're with me, let's strap up and get this over with, right? Let's do this. So I did it. And actually the second I picked him up and he kissed me, I knew. I knew it was going to happen.
And what was that? A honeypot? Another honeypot?
Honeypot, I knew. Um how long they'd been prepping this event. I knew who was hacking all of my cameras and trying to scare me with a bunch of crazy stuff on my cameras that was fake. Um, just on and on. Like all of us, the story can get really huge and really big and complicated, and there's all sorts of branches off here and there and whatever.
And then remember, you told me before we started that you were O negative, RH negative, right?
Yeah,
I'm just pointing that out because a lot of people who research this, think some people are targeted because of, not everybody, but because of the O negative blood. But it's just
I
speculation. But I like bringing it up because some of my viewers will probably be like, yeah, and try to connect some dots with it. So
I think that's highly probable because of my
there's only
health.
15% of the population are RH negative.
Right, right. Like my first husband, when I was married, I can't remember what his was, but if we would have had children, we would have had to do the sh- I don't know what the shot, I can't remember what the shots are called. Um because your blood's not compatible, so you have to take shots in order for the baby to grow and survive. Can't remember.
Oh,
I don't know. Do you know what that's called, Holly? Have you heard of that or had friends that?
I've heard of something about that, but I'm not sure what it's called. But yeah, I've
Yeah,
heard
I
about
can't, I
that.
can't remember, but anyways, yeah, that's when I knew I had um really rare blood. The interesting thing about that is let's see, my first surgery I was like, how old was I? 20, I don't know, 21, 22 maybe. 22. And I've lost count how many I've had and how many have been quote emergent and how many um have been like extended long stays because of weird circumstances in the hospital, and then like tons of blood draws, right? They always want tons and tons of blood. And I've had like every organ removed except ones that actually keep me alive. And then I've also been
what? Organs removed.
um the first one was they said I was at work and collapsed and went to the ER, and they said that my gallbladder was only functioning at like 5% or whatever, and they take your gallbladder out. I think if it's below, I can't remember the percentage, 50% or something
Oh, so
functioning.
you're talking about like gallbladder? You're not talking about like your lungs or anything like that, right?
Right. No. So basically, I have heart, lungs, kidneys, liver, and that's it. Everything else is gone. They've taken everything else. So like I had to have a complete hysterectomy when I was 23. Um, and
Okay,
I've
so let's get back to I shouldn't have interrupted you. When
nope,
you said your ex pulled all of that, he kissed you, you knew he was a honeypot, and you just seen everything.
correct. Yeah. So then all hell breaks loose. And actually, one of the guys involved, um, that night that they were breaking down the door, I knew he was involved, and they started this might be um a good point for people to remember if this happens to them, because it's really freaky. They started projecting onto like my TV screens that were turned off, so they weren't on. They were still plugged into the wall, but like any reflective surfaces, so like the microwave door that reflected, the TV screens, anything that would reflect, they were projecting like demonic um images onto them. Or like I was standing in my bedroom and I called that guy that I knew was involved, and they were breaking in, so I had barricaded myself in my room. Well, on my TV is a picture of all these people laying on my bed, like laughing at me, like on my TV screen. And I'm like, what in the world? And when I called that guy, um, John, he was laughing hysterically, and the words death wish flashed on his screen. That's when after they had diverted my calls to not go to 911, right? And started projecting this stuff onto my house and totally freaking me out. So I'm like, death wish, huh? Okay. And then what happened? I think I just slept that night. I'm not sure. Anyways, then they had, oh, and then he says, oh, you're gonna see how powerful we really are now. I was like, okay.
Now, are they involved in the occult too? These people you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, so then they had fire trucks, ambulances, the whole gamut, helicopters, planes, everything, all at once, all driving by my house, honk, 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 right? And then it just ramped up from there. So um
So did you ever did you experience gang stalking? Like when you left your house, what was going on when you left your house? When all that stuff was going on, when you would leave your
yeah,
house, what would you
okay.
experience?
So the thing is that I never left my house, right? I didn't I was so sick that I didn't leave.
Oh, okay.
I had a caregiver, right? And even after that, when we left, nothing would happen. Like there was no overt gang stalking. There was covert stuff, right? Um, and like they were messing with me at my doctor's offices and little things, but not straight up, full blown gang stalking. No, not being followed in cars or cut off or any of that stuff. while I was with her. Oh, this was what I was telling you before we actually started recording. Um, so um that stuff started when um I guess I would say I fired my caregiver, and because she was saying that if I call the police one more time that I'm going to get locked up in the psych ward. Like she was real adamant, like that's what's going to happen next. I'm like, how would you know? So then another thing is like all these guys that were involved, the guy that had the death wish flashing on his screen, he was with this group, and this entire group, like the day after the door getting knocked in, I might be off by a few days, couple days or whatever. Um, all of them call the sheriff and do welfare checks on me and saying that I'm suicidal, I'm alone, that they've gotten calls from me, that I'm sick. The cop, so that's why they did the door break in. They wanted the cops to know that I had weapons, right? And I do. I've always had them. I have a permit. I worked with the sheriffs. I worked in corrections. I grew up in the mountains. I'm a mountain girl, hunted, all that stuff. So, um, before I got sick. So then we're calling in like, oh, we're so worried about Kyle, and she has weapons and she's suicidal and blah, 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 which was not true. So they had all these people call that in. Well, then I go into my medical chart because I was going, I think, to get chemo that day. And I looked, and there was a fake report that I had talked to a crisis counselor and was asking about getting 5150, which did not happen. You know what 5150 is, right? Held on
Criminally insane.
the 72-hour hold, whatever.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The so in most states, yeah, 5150 is 72 hours. And then you have, that's your hold, and then you have to go, have a judge sign an order to hold you longer. So that's what they were trying to do. And with my caregiver saying that, I was like, this is weird. Um, and she had just gotten a new car. The
Oh,
neighbor,
yeah, imagine that.
new neighbors just moved in. There's crack pipe, smoke coming through my walls. One day they knocked me out and did like a full construction job on my um duplex, rerouted the sewer lines. And then, so now they can like back up the sewer line. So they back up my toilets with raw sewage, and then they blow stuff through the floors. Like they put stuff under the floors and sensors and cameras and mics and just all sorts of stuff. And I was getting knocked out from the, do weapons. I guess that's, do you say do? I don't know what to say because some people don't
Yeah,
know
you can say do neural weapons, just or weapons. Everybody
what.
knows what you're talking about when you say
Okay.
weapons.
I would,
They
yeah.
knock us out all the time, especially when we're getting ready to watch a movie or spend time together. They'll knock one of us out.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I would.
there was a woman in Alabama, back in 2018 who said that when she would be gone, uh, while she was gone, they done something to her plumbing, and if you tell somebody that, I believed her because I just you could tell when somebody's not crazy, but um, what I'm saying is, they do this stuff that way. If you tell somebody, look, they knocked me out, done something to my sewage, backed it up. Half the time, nobody's going to believe that, but and that's why they do it. They put situations and they do stuff that if you tell anybody, like some of my stories, I don't even tell because it would make me seem so out there, but it's true. But that's the reason they done it that way is so if you told somebody, you'd be nuts.
Oh, same. And that's, but That's why I think we need to sell
Now, as
ours.
far as cameras and sensors in the floor, they don't need none of that, right?
Correct.
Right. Okay. Have you
Yeah.
ever found a camera or anything in your floor?
Yes. In fact, um, I have a little, I brought a little show and tell, which might help people, or maybe I should have asked you before. It's
No, that's
a
fine.
it's a device that can help you find hidden cameras and sensors and mics and any radio frequencies. It's even picked up some out of my body, and it will also detect it when I'm getting hit with the
Oh, an
radio
EMF
frequency.
reader?
Yeah, it's this little dude.
Okay. Is that a tri one? Does that do radio waves too? Is it a what do you call that? Tri
Yes, it's yeah, it's a K19 plus. So it does
radio frequency, electromagnetic frequency, and magnetic. Three different
camera
things,
mag.
right?
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
I think that's a
It
good one.
it is a good one, except I just got it out to use today because they switched stuff up on me, and they I don't know if you can see this. They knocked out the charging port right here.
Oh, so you can't charge it.
Yeah, there's scratch marks all over here.
Yeah, we keep this one. This is just a cheap one. Unfortunately, we
Oh,
got the when we bought it, we didn't get the radio wave ones, and I wish we would have.
yeah, it does help because it picks up.
So, could you explain your direct energy attacks, what you experience?
Okay, so like right now I'm sitting on my bed, it's vibrating. Um, I get the remote rape, constant sexual assault. I get the like these rods that go through my head, get severe migraines. Um, at the end of the year, like around Christmas to the end of the year, I went through a 16-day migraine that was just, I mean, beyond it. Oh, it was awful, just horrible. Um,
Now, are you experiencing any burning sensations or anything while you're having these migraines?
oh yeah,
Nausea, vertigo, anything like that?
yep. So when it went overt, and I can talk about stuff prior to it, but when they went, excuse me, when they went overt with it, the first things they did was start frying my head, right? So all my
Yeah.
hair started falling out, and they do it in like patches like this, right? So my head's burning, and I wasn't aware like that hadn't happened before. And so I actually left my house, went and stayed at a hotel for a few days, um, which is a whole nother story, but it's boring. Um, so yeah, I get the burns, I get the leg vibrating, the jolts, the shocks, the sleep deprivation. They'll like right when you fall asleep, they'll like make your hands go like that. So you touch something, right? Or if I'm laying my head on my hand, they'll like on my pillow and I fall asleep, they'll like make my hand go like that. So my head jerks up and I wake up. Or my feet will touch, or
Is your hair ever staticky?
yeah, that was crazy, right? So I live on the ocean, right? On literally on the ocean. The humidity there is like 70% or more. I wake up one day, I don't know, I have my hair down, but you can tell I have long hair, right? It's like down to my waist. It's like this, like stick, like I have this afro, and I'm going to get something out of my dryer, and it just shocks the crap out of me. And I'm like, what in the world? So I go and look at my I have a weather unit, because I watched that with my health symptoms. It was 30 31% humidity inside my house. And this is a drafty POS old duplex from like 1981 that has never been remodeled, right? That's how dry they had it in there. And
Right.
then of course,
Holly deals with static constant.
oh, I'm sorry. Holly, have you done those misting bottles? Have you seen?
I used to, when it first started. I used a lot of hairspray that takes care of it. Um, the hairspray usually takes care of mine, when it's sticking straight up.
I meant in your house. Like,
Oh, no, no. Mm-mm.
oh, do you get it at home or when you're out?
Oh, I got it at home. I get it at home. We have drones above the house that hit
Oh,
us constantly. Yeah, there's about 3 military
She's talking about,
drones.
does she get hit at home or out?
I meant, does the static happen at home or when she's out? Only when she's out.
Oh, both.
Oh,
Yeah, I can be at work. It can happen they have drones above my job, so it can happen at my job or here at the house. Either one.
you said there's always three. I always have three drones, but um was it no night before last when I emailed you guys and they got mad because I started writing down what I was going to talk about. They got really mad. There was 5 drones that night, two military helicopters and one huge military plane. And then it's just been constant attacks since then. Sleep deprivation and all the usual hits. The you know
What
yeah,
about V2K? Like
yes.
right now, they're telling me stop the interview or we're going to kill you. I get constant V2K like that, but I know that most of it's lies. So 99% of the time it's lies, so I don't listen to it. So do you get stuff like that?
What are they telling you right now? They're gonna kill you?
Oh, don't listen to it. It's V2K. It's 99. Robert Duncan even says V2K is 99.9% lies.
Oh,
They've been
for
saying that, they've said that over 50 interviews I've done. They've said it while I'm doing the interviews. So please
me.
don't take no, I wasn't trying to scare you. I was just telling you what they were doing right now.
Oh no, I was just like, what they're saying they're gonna anyway. Yeah, yes. So my V2K has been interesting. Um, and this goes back to the camera stuff that I'm not gonna get into. But one of the things that they did was and they love to. Okay, they are obsessed with me using the bathroom and causing problems with me using the bathroom, right? Like going pee, dehydrating, so you're constipated. They were zapping me on the toilet, on and on and on, right?
So you
So,
hear V2K when you're using the bathroom, basically.
right, and they've done it a few times, but one time, while before they went overt with I'm sitting on the toilet and I hear this like really loud growl, like a big bear growl or something. And I'm just like, oh, whatever. I just laughed, like, just whatever. Um, Previous to that, I was at a house that I owned and was sitting on the toilet and just like spacing out. I was so tired and sick. And then they just like yelled through the wall, you, and I, got startled because I lived alone. I've
Do
always lived
do
alone.
they ever down you, call you, well, why'd you do that? You're stupid, or do they do stuff like that?
No, I don't get what you get, but previously, they've caused like paranoia. Um, they tried telling me I was a pedophile for like a few years in a row. This is years ago, years
Right.
ago. And I'm like, what
Is it
is
intrusive thoughts or do you actually hear
it's
stuff?
it, yeah, it's thoughts because okay, so my career is in mental health, right? Like I worked as a shrink. And so they know I'm going to know the difference obviously. So they had to do my own thoughts. And then
Right.
a lot of that also was mixed in with occult stuff, which we don't have to talk about. Uh, Whatever.
Now you can talk
Uh,
about occult stuff, and just keep it to the basic stuff, you know.
I'll just leave it at that, because if you know, you know, and if you don't, then you can
Right.
figure it out and whatever. If you don't know, you're blessed. Stay that way. Uh,
Exactly.
um, and then another time, I was in college and I'm sitting outside in the dark having a cigarette, and I hear this woman screaming, "Help me!" Or no, that was a different one. This time it was like a whisper, somebody whispering like, "Help me!" But it was really creepy. That freaked me out, and I got up and like ran inside. So I've had like, I told you they like, I don't know if they get new contractors or if they just try new stuff every 5 years or so. Um, because the actual audio V2K hasn't happened all that much, like a handful of times. But they've done the thoughts thing, but it's always like my thoughts,
Right.
because I would
Um,
known if it was, yeah, like if I was hearing other voices, yeah, no, it just
Now, when
worked.
all this first started, like when you got out of the occult, begged for 8 years for Jesus, and you turned your life around from that stuff. Did you notice any smear campaigns or people just start all these people just start abandoning you? Nobody wants to hang out no more. Your
Everybody,
family, everybody
family,
shuns you.
yep, yep, everybody. In
So,
fact, I'm
so could
around.
you explain how that happened? How your isolation went about? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I called my dad one day and he didn't want to talk, or I'm just giving an example. Like,
Oh, okay.
could you
Uh,
explain what happened and what you felt when all that went down?
well, it it really wasn't that odd, because I'm pretty, like, I'm happy on my own. I'm happy with myself. I can entertain myself. And being sick, um, after I had to quit working, then they caused my business to get shut down. I lost my house, blah, blah, blah. You know how they do. Um, I, like I've always lived alone, except when I
So you're
was married.
pretty much an introvert.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I also can go out and be super social and fun and whatnot, like was always like the ringleader. Everybody wanted to be doing what I was doing, or you know, um, I reconnected with a bunch of friends, old friends from high school, and we were, going down memory lane, and they were all telling me like I was, Miss Popular, and I was like the
But can you go out now like you used to?
oh God, no.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the point I was trying to make. It changes your life. It changes your lifestyle, and it's probably a good thing you are an introvert because that helps. I would say Holly's kind of introvert. Sometimes like she can be alone and be comfortable in her skin. Uh, so
That's why they do all this crazy stuff they did, this time. And because I didn't leave my house except to go hiking, and then I'd go hiking alone in the mountains for, all day long, and come home in the middle of the night. I'm always been a night person. I'm up in the middle of the night, and like yeah. But now, like the last time I went out, I went to the store, I think I was buying smokes or something, and don't snacks or whatever. I go to walk in, there's a guy standing at the door staring at me, with the creepy gang stalker grin, so I just stared back at him. I was like, what? Like they don't bother me. So I get in line. um and when I walk in, there's one person at the register, right? And then as I'm standing in line, suddenly there's 25 people. The chick behind me is pretending to be on the phone. The person in front of me has, kids, and they're saying stuff about like how they uh hate donuts or something, because I had bought was going to buy donuts. And then the guy at the register picks his phone up and's like, oh, good idea, group photo or group selfie or something. Click, takes a picture of me, right? And I'm like, oh, here we go. So I just stood there. I'm like, whatever. I go up to pay for my stuff and he goes to give me the wrong change. He's trying to give me like way too much change back, right? I pay with cash. And so he grabs a receipt and I was like, dude, you're giving me too much money. He's like, well, how much should it be? And I'm like, well, fix the receipt, cancel it out and do it right and give me the right amount. Like, that's your job. I don't work here, you know? And so he just kept on and on and on about, you need to tell me what the right amount is. And I was like, you need to give me the right amount of money back. And so I took his picture and picture the receipt. And he shows me the air. He's like, oh, here's my mistake on the receipt. And I'm like, that's not even right. Because that wouldn't even make the amount of money that you're trying to give me. So basically he was trying to make it look like I had short are you guys old enough to remember what shortchanging is? Like if you worked retail or at fast food joint or anywhere that use cash a lot. Do you guys remember that?
What do you mean by shortchanging?
I'm in my mid 40s. So somebody would come in and like their total would be 10, 15, 11, 15 or whatever. And they'd give you a 20. And so you'd go to give them money back and they're like, no, wait, I'm going to give you 21. So you need to give me 10 back. And they would just be pulling out money and back and forth. And by the time you're so confused, they've basically taken all of your money and theirs back.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And that's what this guy was trying to
Back
do.
before registers were digital.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's what he was trying to do. And he even tried to make that look like that on the receipt. And this story is getting way long. The point is like this guy is probably early 60s, right? Late 50s. He probably like I'm told a lot that I look a lot younger than I am. I'm 46. Um some people think I'm like the cops all thought I was 30 and stupid, you're so young, you shouldn't have to be
So
wearing
you
this.
basically got perped in the store. To make a
Yeah.
long story short.
Yeah.
Yeah. So could you like when you had the incidents where they tried to kick in the door and then they had you call the cops, is there any more instances, not like kicking it, well, in instances where they ran psyops on you like that, like psychological operations on you, like theater?
Yeah.
Could you
Yep.
explain a few of them?
Yeah. Sure. One. Well, we'll go back to when I went to go stay at a hotel. I they were burning my head, and it was so intense, and there was so many perps literally running around my yard. They were on my roof. They've been pounding nails into the side of my house.
And
Crawling
that's why
under.
you went to a hotel?
Yeah. So I pack my stuff. I know they're outside. I know
Because
they're
you know they
armed.
can, so you knew at that point, look, they're doing all this and they're really out there. But if I call the police, they're just going to say I'm crazy, so I might as well go to a hotel,
Right.
basically,
So I'm
right?
yeah, so I'm strapping up, got my backpack. I'm like, okay, I'm going out the door, and if they get me, they get me. But I'll go down. I'll get a few of them before I go down. Um, so I fling my door open, go go to my car, throw my stuff in, and I happen to glance down. There's WD-40 sprayed all around all of my lug nuts, every single lug nut. So they're still in the yard, running around, screaming, just being psychos because literally where I live, like I'm literally surrounded by all of them. There's not one that's not a perp that can see my house or would be able to hear me from my house.
So why
That's
did they spray the WD-40 on the lug nuts? Did they
because they,
loosen your lug nuts?
yep. And then they stole, so I bought aftermarket rims, right? So they stole the lug nut tightener out of my car when they messed with my car. So of course I don't have it, right? And so they're trying to make it so I can't escape. And So I went around, I got gloves and I hand tightened them as tight as I could get them, right? And I drive up to the street to this little gas station, and I'm like, well, I'm going to ask these people if they have a lug nut tightener. Well, the perps follow me, right?
Well, you couldn't have possibly made it up the street if your lug nuts were loosened.
Well, I hand tightened them. Did you hear that? Like I
Yeah,
had
but how
led,
hand tightening them's not good enough.
it worked.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I made it. It was
you
like
must have drove really slow, huh?
yeah, jiggle, jiggle, and it was just a straight shot. Like I didn't have to drive. It was just up the street. No one was, it was just a straight shot, like for a
So
mile.
from there, what did you do? I asked the dude at the store if he had
Right. So there were two people working there, and there was the older woman behind the counter and this younger guy. And the perps followed me from my house. They're a bunch of 20-year-old kids. They all wore gray. That's also important to know too. I don't know that I've heard anybody mention that on your channel, because if you're wearing gray, like especially heather gray, um, it, it's really easy to blur out on like infrared camera systems.
right.
Just so people know, it can actually look like cloaking. Um, I don't know if you've personally seen cloaking, but it kind of looks shiny, kind of like a prism effect a little bit if you get it just at the right angle. So heather gray can you do that too. So all these kids are in like um Mercedes, BMWs, all these, nice cars, fake tags. They're real hot on using the paper dealer plates. They'll even be so lazy, they'll put the paper dealer plates on top of their actual plates to
Right.
follow me around. So I get to the gas station, the older woman's behind the counter, a young kid is out there, and I was like, hey dude, do you have a lug nut tightener? I have these aftermarket wheels and they were loose, and I can't find mine. And so he started helping me, and he was being really cool. While these kids are running around the gas station and acting just like crazies, I don't know if they were on something or what. Anyways, the point is like he was helping me, and he's like, well, hang on, I'm parked in the back and I think I have one in my car that will fit your lug nuts. So he goes into the store and walks, and the lady behind the counter grabs him, and I can see her telling him like, no, don't you dare. And he comes out, he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I got to get back to work. Right. So
Wow.
that was that. So I'm on the phone with somebody, and they're like, well, they decided to call the police. Um so the police come. Of course, these kids are running around. They're not paying attention to what's going on with the kids. They're,
Is this a pretty small town in Washington we're talking about?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like a small big town. Yeah. Um yeah. Yeah, it's a small town. It's one of those like oh, I don't want to sound, it's like Stepfordville. What all 99% white, rich, 1% people who, their dogs have good credit kind of stuff. It's that
Right.
um so very low crime, which is why I moved there. Low crime, I looked all into it, and that's why I moved there, also for healthcare. But anyways, so the cops come, it became this whole big ordeal. They made me talk. They were trying to take my weapons again, and I'm like, no, you're not. No, no, no. They made me talk to um the crisis counselor again, and luckily, like, Jesus has, as much as these perps infiltrate every single area of our lives, you got to remember that Jesus has people in every single area as well. Always, 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 always. You cannot forget that. It gets so overwhelming, and you think like, literally it's every single person in the planet is involved in this, and like I'm the only one. That's what they want you to believe, but that's absolutely not true. So luckily there was an officer there, a female officer, and she was so good to me, and she she bought me dinner, escorted me to my hotel, um went inside with me, instructed the manager there to hide my car, and make sure that if anyone called, like I didn't exist basically. And she gave her card and was like, this is like official police business, like, you know she doesn't exist, and if I hear any different, there's going to be problems, kind of thing. And then she gave me her personal cell phone number. It's like, you have any problems, you call me. This is ridiculous. She's like, you are not insane, you're not crazy, nothing's wrong with you, you're being messed with. I'm like, yeah, for sure. She's like, I'm so sorry. I wish I could do some more. So that, thank God for her. So I stay at this hotel. Of course, they get the room right next door, which is always the story, right? Sleep deprivation, bang, 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 all night long. I'm getting hit, still getting hit, still getting burned in the heads, feet still getting zapped, um, the usual stuff. And then of course I'm broke, right? I live on disability. Um, they drained all the money I made off of my house. My dad died. They offed my dad. He suddenly got cancer and died in 2019. Um, they had to get rid of him. Otherwise, they would have had problems, if you know what I mean. Um,
So he was a lifeline for you.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yep. Um, let's see.
We got about 15 more minutes.
Okay. So basically, I went to a different town, stayed at a hotel. I wasn't bothered for one night, but then they came in the next night and got the room right next door. It started all over again. Cars coming and going all night, and then it just became just full blown assault at my house, constant, day and night, 24/7. And just relentless torture with the deuce, to where and then they started pumping poison in. They were riding a motorcycle up to my bedroom, and somehow they rigged my bedroom. I went for a walk one day and they ripped my closet doors off so I couldn't close them, and they blew like exhaust and poison and stuff into my room while I'm sleeping, and I wake up like throwing up with diarrhea and pass out, puking blood and stuff like that. Um, I've woken up with like did I say that? Hypodermic needle marks in my arms, like big ones too, like 16 gauge holes. Um, and like I have a port 'cause I'm on chemo. Here's my port. I don't know if you can see that.
And what are you on chemo for?
For autoimmune disorder, and I've had cancer 4 times now because of this stuff.
Wow.
Um, yeah, that's a whole nother story. That's the backstory. So it got so bad that my one family member came and grabbed me, and then that's when it even got crazier. Um, and I don't know how much of this you want me to get into. Maybe we do a part two. I don't know. I can talk to you guys.
Right.
Um,
So you're that's where you're at right now, right? The family members.
I've been going back and forth, but yeah, I am and I am going back. I'm going back home.
Oh, do you dread that at all?
Yeah. Jesus has got to work something out though. This
Man,
is ridiculous. you know. He said he's with me going to war or whatever. Um, Something's got to work out. It always does. It always has. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've evaded death. Like literally, like people
I
shoot.
definitely can relate.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Eight, eight extremely bad car accidents where the car is totally twisted and collapsed in, and I just kick out the windshield and walk off. Um, I've had a truck hit with, I don't know what kind of weapon it is, but it's something they can like hit and then like launch stuff with. Like they even hit me in my house. I was sitting in a rolling chair and they hit me with it and my chair goes like flying across the floor. I'm not sure exactly what kind of do that is, but they did that to one of my vehicles. Well, two of them actually. Um, so that's
You
happened.
don't think any of that stuff was occultish going on?
No, not that stuff. But like the nails in the side of my house, and like they burn sigils in my grass. They put, like I found shells on my front porch. They did a rice witchcraft to make it sound simple enough thing in my spare bedroom. They're doing sounds out the window right now, knocking on the walls. Um, they love to use birds to mess with me, like, and that's a whole nother story. But they're the little drone birds.
Right.
Um, yeah, that wraps up that story. Anyway, so I stayed at the hotel for like 3 days and I was like, screw it, I'm going home, whatever. If they're gonna kill me, they're gonna kill me, whatever. It is what it is. Uh,
Right. And that's what this whole program is designed to do is fear. It's a fear-based program designed
mhm.
to keep you in fight or flight mode at all times and fear of your life at all times, drive you to suicide, possibly drive you to a mental hospital, jails, institutions, anything, or keep you as a hermit. There's all kinds of different goals and stuff they do to try. They just want to destroy your life.
Oh,
So
and that's why they hit me so hard with the do, because I don't leave home, so they don't have time to do a lot of the gang stalking stuff. But like my mom, I mean, for years she's always like, do you know when you're gonna die? Like, when are you gonna die? People usually know when they're gonna die. Or, if it ever gets so bad, I'll help you end it. I'll hold your hand so
wow,
not alone, and blah blah, just, I mean, on and on and on about me dying. And I'm like, what is with me? Like, what? And then the last time she came to see me, she's like, I had a vision. How did she put it? Somebody gave me a vision where when I die, you're going to be completely healed and everything's going to be just fine and life is going to be good finally. I'm like, really?
wow. Just
That's
more
not,
mind manipulation.
that was truth.
Right. Oh, okay. It was.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
okay. We got about 8 more minutes.
Okay. Hit me with a question.
Well, I guess my last question. We've seen that you experience a lot of stuff, especially psyops and very bad harassment. How do you cope with this on a day-to-day basis? And is there a message to any other TIs that might be going through the same thing you're going through? Just how do you cope, and do you have a message for anybody that might be experiencing the same stuff you're experiencing?
Um, I I cope by well, which is why I'm going home. Part that's been hard not being home, and I've gone home several times since it's not like I've been gone the whole time. Um, it it is routine. Even though I don't have like a schedule, because they knock us out, sleep deprive us, do all sorts of stuff, but we still have a routine. Routine's really important to keep your mind healthy. So I have my routine. Like when I wake up, I make sure to, I instantly start praying. I thank God for waking me up again, it just instantly. Dear Jesus, thank you for allowing me to wake up again. If you're waking me up, that means that I'm still here to do something for you. So give me the strength to get through today. I constantly rebuke this stuff. Um, and it's interesting because I'm starting to be able to really tell, not, I shouldn't say starting to, I can really tell the difference between what is due and what is other, like dark stuff.
Right.
Um, and because, and when I can tell and it's hard because it's a lot of it's very similar. But the dark stuff, when you rebuke it's gone just like that because it has to.
Right.
Because, you know, I pray the blood of Jesus over me, my house, my entire family. I've forgiven everybody instantly. Immediately when it started, I already forgave them all. Even my mother. I pray for her every day. I pray God saves them if he can. If not, then start handing out justice. And if they're hitting me hard, I say, send angels down, start fighting these guys. Um, start doing it because this has to end. He tells us in the Bible, he he didn't put us here to suffer and go through hell on earth. He wanted us to have life and life more abundant, right? So I believe that. And yeah, not everybody does. But I don't believe he would put us here to just be tortured and tortured and tortured for absolutely nothing. There's got to be a purpose to it. There's got to be a good reason for it. Um, so there's praying, there's um do distraction is good. Um, I don't care. Color, do, reading's hard. They knock me out, especially if I'm.
Multitask.
Yeah, I personally can't multitask. I know it works really well for you, which is awesome. What works good for me is if I can find videos, like I'll binge watch a bunch of your videos, just all day long. That's all I do, so that my brain's on one thing all day long. Um, and then on days that are really bad, I cry, but I don't cry very easy. So if I'm crying, it's pretty bad. A few times they've made me pass out. Um, I guess I was out on the floor for over 3 hours. I thought it was only like 15 minutes or so. And then I kind of sat up and was like, whoa, that was crazy. Um, but my relative here is like, no, you were out for 3 hours there on the floor. I'm like, whoa. So they hit me really hard, and then they mess with my sleep and the sexual assault and stuff because in real life I have gone through sexual assault. I've survived that more than once. Um and the group of people that did this death wish day kickoff day knew about that. Um and the ex knew about that and everything. So yeah, there's more details I could get into. But yeah, I and advice I would give people is don't believe their lies. Like you said, your V2K, it's all lies. Don't believe if you hear footsteps coming into your room, um, or like several set of footsteps, don't freak out. You know, either get up and look or just pray and know you're okay. Um, because what they've done to me is they wanted me to believe that there was a ton more people in my house 24/7 than there really were. Like after that day where they were trying to break in the front door or whatever, there were constantly cars coming and going and people running through my yard. And the people that moved in right next door, I'm sorry, I'm scratching my nose. I'm not a perp. They're making it itch really bad. I'm sorry. Um, um, they actually started cooking drugs over there, and there's paraphernalia in the driveway and stuff. It's nuts. So there's also a lot of activity from that. Um, but my point is after that they used dues to make it sound like people were walking through my house. They put in smart meters all around my house. The ex had my phone hooked up to his iWatch and put on different hidden apps on my phone, so they were controlling shutting off the fridge, shutting off um that's one thing they like to do a lot is shut off the fridge, like all my food goes bad to drain resources since I'm so poor. Um, or, they'll turn off my TV right when I'm finally spaced out and relaxing, or just all sorts of stuff. I'll go to take a shower and all of a sudden there's no hot water kind of thing. Um, it's nuts, but don't believe the lies is one thing. And if you're getting V2K really hard, this may sound crazy, but try waxing your ears. Have you tried that, David?
Mm-mm.
So you know how Andrew says I've tested.
It passes your ear canal. The frequency they got will pass your ear canal, but maybe it does help though.
Well, you know how Andrew says that your hair turns into antenna?
Yeah.
I tried it out. Okay, this is a crazy thing. So they started making really thick hair grow out of my ears, right? Years ago. And that's when, like, I was only, I think, 25 or something when they did the first, you know, audible V2K thing. And that's when I found this like really long, thick hair in my ear. I'm like, what in the world? I'm only 25 years old. What's going on? So, after listening to Andrew where he says shave your head, onion head Andrew, for anybody who's not aware, um, so I tried it. So I let these hairs grow, and it's crazy. They ever done this to you guys? They could control my hair growth anywhere on my body. And they've done it just for like shits and giggles or whatever.
Yeah, a lot of people who have dues uh have patches of hair on their legs instead of patches that don't grow.
Yeah, like
Like
I
patches
didn't
where there's no hair, like your whole leg will be covered and you'll have patches where there's no hair. They say that that's from dues.
where there's like none or a whole ton, and then it switched, and they've done all sorts of crazy stuff to my body over the years. It's nuts what they can do with that. Um, um, and then journal. Like at first I was afraid to keep track of stuff. Um, it's like I was afraid it would get stolen or somebody would find it or whatever. But the more and more I write stuff down, um, the more you can process it, especially if you don't have somebody to talk to about it. Um, which is important. If you can find somebody, that would be great too. Um, but I know like you say you don't like to keep evidence. I keep evidence.
No, I didn't say I didn't like to keep evidence. I don't like posting evidence. We have
Oh,
plenty of evidence to show because when you post evidence, you got naysayers, and then you find yourself engaged in commenting back to naysayers and wasting all that energy. You know what I'm saying?
I
But
totally get your point. Yeah.
oh, we got plenty of evidence.
Okay, I misunderstood, or I forgotten that you say
Yeah, because they
this.
always leave plausible deniability for the perps to say, well, it could have been this, could have been that, but real targets know what street theater is and et cetera, et cetera. You know what I'm saying?
I do. And like the only reason there's stuff on my YouTube is because they were messing with my phone. I didn't have enough storage, so I just started throwing stuff on there. I haven't even looked at there. I'm not sure exactly all what's on there anymore, but yeah, keeping track of it, keeping your call logs, keeping it, every single. I mean, you can't possibly write down every single thing that happens. Otherwise, you would never like I would never be able to quit writing all day long, and I just
Right.
can't do that. But I have these, notebooks, and I track what happens when the planes fly over, what's happening with my body, how they're hitting me, like especially the sexual assault stuff, which is just disgusting. They love to mess with my dreams. They'll do it in my dream, and then just they use that for sleep deprivation too. Like the other day, I'm sleeping and I was like building some diorama, and we were putting up like weeds in this field, like gluing little weeds on. And then all of a sudden, in like in my dream, I inhaled one of the weeds in my nose instead of it gluing down to the diorama. It blew up my nose. Well, I woke up and there was something in my nose. They were like shoving stuff up my nose with dew to wake me up in my dream. So it's like I was in my dream, dreaming of getting woken up by this thing in my nose, and then I woke up with a thing in my nose. Like that's how weird they
Yeah.
get.
I'm kind of
Nuts.
like every now and then I have a dream where I gotta use the bathroom, where I use the bathroom on myself because I can't make it in time, and I'll wake up and I'll have to pee real bad. So sort of like that.
Yeah, and then they'll do that to me too. And every single morning, I can't pee, or it's like a tiny bit. So I have to like do this whole routine to be able to pee. But that's why I say write stuff down, because the more you write stuff down, I've noticed that the more I write stuff down and the more I track stuff, more I can see the pattern, the more I know what makes them mad and what doesn't make them mad. Not that I care, but I'm just more for curiosity. And then it has also helped me piece together the puzzle of like, because we all ask ourselves, like, why is this happening to me? This is nuts, right? Like, how can this be? Like, this is nightmare times a million, right? Like, there's no way out. It can feel like just overwhelming, but for me, objectively looking at it and seeing the patterns and knowing that it is real and it is happening, and this is what is going on. And if you can realize that there is, how do I say this, there's it's planned chaos basically, and writing stuff down and keeping track of it can help you realize that, and that will help you feel less insecure or crazy.
Overwhelmed.
Yeah, or whatever feeling they're wanting to make you feel. Most of the time it's fear. For single women, it's fear a lot. Well, I don't know anybody yet that hasn't had fear, but yeah, really overwhelming. And then hydrate, hydrate.
Yeah, hydration is very important.
Just even if it like I have a hard time doing it because I'll wake up I am just drenched in sweat, complete sweat. Um, and I have to get up and like throw my pillows in the dryer and everything, and completely dry off with a towel and change clothes and whatnot. And even though they'll have days where it's like so uncomfortable because I can't pee, which is so disgusting. They do the most disgusting stuff and they're obsessed with poop and it's so gross. But hydrate, stay hydrated. And if you can't drink lots of water, whatever, drink your stuff on ice. If you drink Gatorade or soda or whatever, and eat eat food. And if you're like me, eat what you can when you can, because they love to make me throw up. They love to make me not eat. Like I lost, I don't know, 40 pounds in the first like 4 months this stuff started. It's crazy. And they've done that to me my whole life. They've made me super fat at times where it didn't matter what I did. I was so overweight, which my narcissist mother used that to further abuse me, and then they used it to further, put the stupid thoughts in my head about how lame I am, blah blah blah. And then and then the other times they'll just boom, I'll drop 40 pounds. And it's scary because I've ended up in the hospital because of it. Like one time my heart stopped because suddenly my kidneys just dumped all of my electrolytes, just boom, in an hour. I was passed out in my chair and I'd spilled my food all over me and woke up, went to the hospital, and the doctor's like, yeah, you should be dead. I don't know how you're alive, but here, welcome back. I'm like, okay. So eat, even if I know I know we all talk about eating healthy and whatnot, but I don't get too hard on myself about it. I'm just proud of myself if I can get anything in and keep it down. So
Right.
and that's another thing. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't think like, oh, well, this person is doing this, this, and this, and this. I should be doing that as well. But you struggle with that, or don't beat yourself up. Do what you can. Do what you can in
Right.
your routine. But yeah, hydration, eat, journal, um, praying for me, talking to people, and tell your truth. I have run across so many people that are terrified to speak because the torture gets worse. Like, and it does. It got worse for me the second I emailed you guys. Um, and it's been horrible ever since. It's been awful today. Just,
Right.
since I got up. I don't know. I've been up all night. But it does get worse. But like you always say, well, think about, you have horrible days if you're not talking, right? Like I wasn't talking the day I passed out in the hallway, and my heart rate dropped to, I don't know, 60 something. So tell your story, speak up. It doesn't matter. You don't have to work and convince people. Just, even if you just drop info about it on your social media, or act like you don't know what it is, just even talk about it that way. Like, find an article about it, post it on your page, like, whoa, what do you guys think of this? Or I've never heard of this. What's up with this stuff? And then you can start posting about it more, like, oh, I've been researching on this. And um like the congressional hearings that were, I don't know when they were, just recently, where they admitted to using the dues on American soil on American citizens just recently.
Right.
So it exists. It exists and they're using it. And yeah.
Well, we thank you for coming out. Uh, time's short, unfortunately, but we really thank you for telling your story. And maybe if you could get it and get more stuff in chronological order and more organized, you could come on again. Anybody who would like to tell their story, just reach out to us at hollyspunk@gmail.com. I'm gonna stop the recording right